Hey yo, what's up guys? Super stoked for today's video. And if you've seen this camera before, then I'm sure you've seen tons of videos on it if you ever wondered. But today I'm going to be talking about the Pentax 6.7, 6x7, whatever you want to call it. Now, if you guys are familiar with this camera, which I'm sure if you're watching this video, you probably are, or you're looking to get information on this camera, there are probably tons of videos that come up that are way more popular than this one is going to be. And you probably have already watched them. Even if you came across this video, I appreciate you. But this camera is super elusive to me. Or maybe we won't say elusive. Elusive is something you can't catch. We'll say it's super sought after to me because I have already owned this camera one time previously, for a while actually. And it was when I was fairly new at shooting 120 film medium format. So I wanted to explore my options into other 6x7 cameras and other kinds of setups and things like that. And something just never really sat right with me getting rid of the camera, to be completely honest. It is probably one of the only cameras that I have sold and decided to repurchase or reacquire, however you'd like to say it, over the years. Now, I have had two Canon A1 programs that I have had twice, but aside from that, I've never owned a camera two times, except for this one and that one. Now, I'd go out on a long shot and say this is probably my favorite medium format camera ever, with the Mamiya 645 Super being really close behind it. But this would probably be my favorite camera, just to be completely honest. I really don't want to get into the actual dynamics of the camera too much because, like I said before, there are tons of videos that you can watch on YouTube. That's my phone. So I don't want to get too in depth into the actual camera functions. I will go over it a little bit, but like I said, there are plenty of videos on this camera already out there that have way more views than mine have. I'm just overall excited because of how much I love this camera that I wanted to do a video on it, because oddly enough, I did have my channel the first time I had this camera, but I never made a video on it. And I'm not really sure why. I was still kind of figuring out the whole YouTube thing, if I wanted to do it or not, but I never made a video. And now I want to because I'm excited. This camera does have the infamous, I guess you'll call it infamous, 105 millimeter 2.4, which is an extremely good sought after lens. I already know I'm gonna have a few people in the comments telling me how it's a super overrated lens and blah blah blah. Don't get me wrong, I do believe the hype behind this lens is a little bit far, but it is a very nice lens. It not by any means is a bum lens at all. If you have this camera, to not have this lens would be asinine. Let's be completely honest. Wouldn't make any sense to not own it. Now, I won't go and rave and say it's the best lens ever created, but I will say that it's a very good lens and it actually produces some fantastic images. Honestly, it's probably produced some of my favorite images that I've ever captured. Let's be honest. This particular camera that I have actually acquired recently is in pretty used condition. I'm not gonna front about it. I mean, it does have some scratches on it. It has seen better days, but if you've ever held one of these cameras, you know that this thing it's like a tank. It's like solid, man. These things are heavy. They function well. They do good. They do have other lenses for this camera. I mean, quite a few other lenses. Actually, there's a 75, there's a 45, there's a 200 millimeter. I think there's a 135 too, if I'm not mistaken. Fact check me, guys. But there are tons of Takumar lenses and SMC lenses out there for the Pentax body, which gives you an array of different medium format lenses to have. I really, really like this camera. One of the main reasons, I wonder how many times I'm going to say in this video. But one of my favorite things about this camera is obviously your image quality. This thing produces some bangers. I mean, you're gonna get just some good negatives out of this thing. They're gonna be huge 6x7 centimeter negatives, the same as the RZ67 and RB67 that I have reviewed before. Go watch that video if you haven't. yeah, it's overall just fantastic. Now, as far as 6x7 cameras, this is going to be my favorite 6x7 camera. Now, I know I'm going to catch a lot of flack because what about the RZ67 and the Mamiya 7, the Mamiya 7 II? You know, there's tons of 6x7 cameras that are really good. And don't get me wrong, the Mamiya 7, it's a good camera. I'm not sure if it's, you know, $2,700, $3,000 good. I've shot with it once before and it was fun, but I don't know. The bang for the buck for me just isn't there. Now, who knows, in a few years I might change. I might be one of those guys that turn into the YouTube guys that say this is a must-have camera. It's probably going to be the same thing in this video saying how you must have it, but I could totally get over the Mamiya 7. Now, the RZ67 and RB67, those systems are cool and they're equally as uncomfortable to carry as this one is, but this one has 1/1000th of a shutter speed. Those have 400ths of a shutter speed. That I have mentioned is an extremely odd, like, maximum shutter speed, but I do get they're meant to be studio cameras. So the 1/1000 shutter speed definitely takes it over the top for me. One of the major reasons I sold this in the first place was to explore other options, but because it has a eye level prism finder on here, so you have to physically hold it up to your eye to shoot it. And if you see, I wear a lot of hats, and it's funny because if you ever watched the Volandis video that he recently dropped, not to copy the guy, but it is such a true statement. If you wear a lot of hats, any bulky camera is such a pain. You have to flip your hat around backwards. To me, it doesn't bug me that much. It is inconvenient, but it doesn't bug me enough to not like the camera. I do like the waist level cameras like the RZ67 RB systems, but to me, this is my baby. I actually haven't put a roll through this specific camera yet. I plan on doing it soon. Another really cool thing I do like about this camera is it does have a waist level finder. Not saying that you have to use it, but you can take this prism finder off and you can look down into the mirror before. And since you guys are here, I'm going to do that so you can see it. So to do that, you always have to remove your lens first because it has this chain in there, and you never want to take your prism off without your chain. It has two buttons on the side right here, one here, and you pretty much squeeze your buttons and you take your prism off. It's kind of hard to do. One here, and then one's off and the other one's off, and your prism comes off just like that. Set your prism down, and then if you look into it, you have a waist level finder. There is no lens on there now, so obviously you're not going to see any images coming out of it, but it does have a waist level finder. So if you want to leave your lens on it, you can shoot that way. Now, if you do notice, this thing has a massive mirror in it. The mirror inside of this camera is massive. And one of the raving features that I actually really do like a lot is going to be the mirror slap, which everybody is going to tell you how fantastic the mirror slap is. I will also confirm the mirror slap is fantastic. We can do a dummy test right now to check how awesome the mirror slap really is. So what we're gonna do is open the back of our camera like so. We're gonna hold this down. We're gonna see if we can hold your thumb down on the advanced lever to simulate that it has film in it, because the mirror will not fire or slap, or you won't be able to crank anything unless this camera actually has film in it. So now that I have tricked the camera into thinking that it has film, we're gonna cock it and then we're gonna slap it. And that is the infamous mirror slap. One more time for you guys. I mean, that thing is beautiful, isn't it? I mean, it just sounds absolutely stunning. Now, if you guys see on here, I'll show you when you, hopefully that's focusing. If it's not, if you see how it has a number ticker on there, so it shows you what the actual image you are on. If you open your back, typically it should reset that back to 0, like any other camera would do. If you press it, there's no shutter. You actually can't even crank it because there's no film in here. It doesn't sense that there's any film, so it will not test fire. That is a cool little, I guess, safety feature. I don't know why they do that, honestly. I don't know. It's neither good nor bad. I just wanted to demonstrate the mirror slap. I mean, that's pretty much it. The camera is outstandingly heavy. Like, I've mentioned before, and like anybody else can mention, but I can get over it. Honestly, I can live with it being heavy for the image quality of it and for the cumbersomeness of carrying it around. It just works for me. Some people it doesn't. Some people have other, goals, which is weird because I typically carry a Pentax T2 with me daily. So to carry this around is literally like yin and yang of the camera world, to be honest. I mean, the only thing you can compare it to is maybe a Rolly 35 or something, but it is outstandingly heavy. And let's be honest, if you're raising it up to eye level all day and carrying it around, it is a bit cumbersome, but you get a little bit used to it. Now, this one does not have a wooden grip or the right side grip. I probably will get one. I probably won't. I did like the wooden grip at first. It doesn't seem very ergonomical like in the first view of things, but carrying it around, it actually does help a little bit. But I typically plan on backpack carrying mine, so not really a big deal. That's pretty much all I have to say about this camera. Go get one. Do you have a Pentax 6.7? No, go get one. You should. There are 3 models of this camera. There's a Pentax 6x7, which is the one I have here. There is a 6.7, like 67, a Pentax 67, which is the newer model. And there's a Pentax 6.7 II, which if I'm not mistaken has an automatic, like it actually autofocuses. I could be wrong, but I think so. I know it does have digital scales and needs batteries. This one also needs a battery, but the battery does nothing but function the light meter. It's a pretty rudimentary light meter. Just has a little tick bar in it. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Let's jump into some images that I've taken with the Pentax 6.7, and I hope you guys enjoy. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe, comment, share with your friends. I appreciate it. Everything you guys do. Until next time, let's be easy.